because if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have decided to get sober eventually. And the reason I actually got sober was for Lent.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, The Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
I'm at Shane Earn, baby.
Hell
The Bash
yeah.
Brothers.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
And remember, new episodes dropping every Tuesday and Friday. Check them out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
All right. Crystal,
Yeah.
welcome to the Hopeaholics
Yes.
podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
She's very peaceful.
I feel really honored to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's a compliment.
Yeah, you're very peaceful, and I could assume, like, it just give me, you give me the feeling like you just shoo off mosquitoes.
Oh, wow. No.
You know what I mean? Or you,
Well, maybe. Yeah, sometimes. I definitely get like the spiders if they're around in
Yeah,
the
you
napkin
shoot
and I
them-
take them outside.
okay,
That's what I do.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I look like.
Yeah, no, that's what you
Just kidding.
feel like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
refreshing.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's like
Yeah.
a nice calming aura.
really nice.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a really big compliment. Thank
Yeah.
you.
For sure.
So you're also sober, correct?
Yes. I've been sober now for 2 years,
Nice.
and I think it's going to be 26 months on the 2nd of May.
That's awesome.
And it's been a very, very intense journey, but it's been very beautiful. I've learned so much about myself and everyone around me. There was I realized that when I was in my addictive path, that I didn't really build relationships with anybody. I never actually knew how to build relationships with anybody. So I had to relearn who I was and also get to know my family again and get to know everybody. And it was pretty interesting. I think it's still something that I'm working through now in life and learning how to take my power back and set boundaries and things like that, because my family treated me like a baby for a long time because I did act like an infant for a long time. So it's been an interesting journey, but yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Is this your first time trying to get sober or attempting sobriety?
No, I tried many times to get sober, and I think there was a couple of really bad experiences I had that finally was like, okay, God is like telling me it's time. Like, you need to stop playing around. And I actually got into a car accident, and oh my goodness. So this car accident happened. I was supposed to go to a casino with a friend of mine. We ended up going, and I was drinking the whole way there. Drinking the whole way to the casino. We were at the casino, and the next morning I had to go somewhere with my boyfriend at the time, and we had to be up early. So I had told my friend, hey, like, I can't stay here. You know, we got to go. And we were there, and he's just like buying me drinks. And I was just like, yeah, why not? You know, because I'm drinking already anyway. And I didn't really realize that there was another intention there on his part. And he had said like, hey, let's get a room. I was like, no, bro, I'm not going to get a room with you. What are you talking about? Like, so he ended up getting upset and like walked off and whatever. And I ended up, I don't remember anything after that. And I just remember waking up in the car, and he was in the passenger seat, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure nothing happened because we
And
were
this
in
was
the car.
a stranger?
Oh, he was a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I used to work at an animal hospital for, I don't know, maybe 6 years. And even in this time at this animal hospital where I met him at, and that's where we became friends, I was drinking a lot at work. Every day I was drinking like a bottle of Jack like this big every day and then snorting cocaine to stay awake. I was working graveyard shift. So that was my thing. I would do that, and I would go outside to my car, drink a little bit, take a line or two or a bump, whatever, and then go back inside and start doing 12 o'clocks for like the cats and the dogs, like giving them their medicine and stuff. Yeah, like I'm never gonna mention the hospital, but you know, but it's like it was a very intense time. So then that day, after we left the casino, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna stop at a bar on the way home because I don't want to be hungover. So that's what you do, right? When you're like drinking, you just wake up and just keep drinking. You don't want to be hungover. So then he was asleep in the passenger seat. I Googled like on my maps a bar, and I found a bar, and I think it was like the Flamingo or something like that. And then went in there, asked for a shot of Crown. And then I went back in the car and we took off. And it was super, super foggy that morning. And I think it was like 6 a.m. and I'm just like speeding down the I don't know where I was at. I'm speeding. There was a dip.
Yeah.
And I just went right over it. It was so bad that my friend woke up. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I just started laughing because I thought it was funny. But then I keep going, and because it was so foggy, I didn't see that there was lights. So I ended up running a light, and I hit a car, but nothing. I don't know what happened to that car so I'll get to that. Nothing. I didn't end up hitting it too hard, I think. And then I ran another red light, and this time I actually did hit someone, and this woman, they were making a U-turn, and I hit her, and I was just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna go to jail, bro. Like, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Can we curse? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. I was like, I don't know. So he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was just like, I don't know, Brent. Like, what are we gonna do? I couldn't get out of my side. So I got out of the car of his side, and then so there was a random pedestrian there. And he's like, hey, someone should help the woman out the car because it was really foggy. Cars were still coming super fast. So I was like, oh, my gosh. So I went over there, and I took her out the car. I was like, I'm so sorry. And she spoke Spanish. She didn't speak any English. So I started talking to her in Spanish. I was just like, discúlpeme, perdóneme. I was just like, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Like, it was my fault. And she's just like, oh, I don't know what happened. She was just in a daze. And then I took her out. I sat her down on the curb. And then I look around, and my friend is gone.
Oh, he bounced.
He fucking left me there. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, what am I going to do? And then, so I called my boyfriend at the time. I said, hey, what am I going to do? Like, I just got in a car accident. I'm going to go to jail. He's like, where's like his name? And I'm not going to say his name. He's like, where is he? I said, he left. And now he's like, he left you there? And I said, yeah. He's like, all right, well, if the cops come, you tell them that he was driving. And I was like, oh my God. I said, okay. So I did. The cops showed up, and I, ran the story. I told him, hey, like I was driving. My friend was driving. He took off. He's not even here anymore. And I was translating for the woman because she didn't speak any English. And she didn't remember anything I had told her when she came out of the car. So, cause she was still in a daze, and I was just like, oh my God. Okay. So the police officer asked me for my friend's information at the time and everything. And I gave it to him. And then my boyfriend had finally showed up at the time to pick me up, and then he like took me. He's like, we're gonna get your stuff, and you're gonna come stay with me because if they find out that you lied, they're gonna come get you at your place. And I was like, okay, let's get everything. I left, so I was like hiding out for like a week or two, and then my friend at the time texted me. He said, why are you lying? The cops told me that you told them that I was the one driving. And I was just like, fuck, he's right. Like, I need to tell this fucking truth because he has kids and stuff, and I didn't want to do that to him. There was a warrant out for a felony that it was a hit and run. So I was like, okay, I need to tell the truth. So the next day I called the officer that was under my case, and I told him, hey, like I need to confess something. I lied, and I said I said my friend drove, but I was the one driving. And he was like, why did you lie? And I said, I was scared. I said, I just got in a car accident. I was not supposed to be out all night with another guy. I had to be somewhere else with my boyfriend. And he was just like, okay, well, he didn't say anything really. He just said, I hope you learned your lesson and you realize that you could have killed someone, or you could have killed yourself, or you could have killed, the other woman. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe how everything really happened. And till this day, I don't talk to that guy anymore, who was my friend at the time. But I really am grateful for him, because if it was not for him, I probably would have gone to jail that day.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, and the next day, well, the police officer said too, like, you would have gone to jail. I smelled the alcohol in you when I was talking to you. I was like, dang, man, like, he could have done something if he really wanted to, I feel like, I don't know, or maybe not believed my story, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a very intense experience. And I still kept in touch with the woman after that. I felt really bad because I know she didn't have car insurance. Like, we kept in touch.
Man.
So I was like sending her money and stuff, and for a little bit after that. And yeah, so after that I was like, okay, but that wasn't the last straw for me. I was like, maybe I could still drink a little bit. I don't know. And then there was another really bad experience, but I feel like, yeah, that one's a lot more intense, and it had to do with my family. And also recently some part I healed and talked to and kind of made amends with what happened, because I was in Ensenada and I was pretty much left alone. And when you are a woman and you're in Ensenada, you can get raped, you can get killed, you can kidnapped, sex trafficked, and did I say that correctly? Trafficked?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, so I got very lucky again, and I knew that God was like talking to me. Like, those police officers that pulled me over when I was out there, they were angels. And it was interesting because they were talking to me by my middle name, and people don't ever call me. My middle name is Jennifer. So, and they're talking to me in Spanish, like Yennefer. So Yennefer to me is like my mom and dad, my family. Like, they're the only ones that call me Jenny. So Yennefer, and I was just like, why are they calling me Yennefer and talking to me like that? And so they were just asking me like, hey, what happened? Why did you leave where you were at this drunk? And I said, well, I was fighting with my family. I needed to get out. And they just told me, are you sure they didn't do anything to you? And I said, yes, I'm sure. And so they ended up taking my keys. I stayed in the car, and they said, if you go to jail, you're not going to have court until Monday, because it was a weekend. And I was like, holy shit. Like, all right, well, I guess we'll see what happens. And then they said that they were going to come back in the morning. They came back in the morning. They asked me again if something happened with my family. I said no. And they exchanged numbers with me. This police officer called me like 4 times on the way home that day. I never heard from my family that day. Like, they even gave me a chance to call them. Like, hey, can you call your cousins, see if they can come pick you up? And I said, sure. I called them. I called all of them. Nobody answered my call. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I realized that I was really there alone. And yeah, when I got back home, I could not believe that had happened, that my own family had left me out there like that, and they wouldn't have even knew like what happened to me if I died or something. And then,
Why do you think they left you?
I don't know.
Or do you know?
I think I had a conversation with my cousin recently, and she told me that I was being crazy and that I was that. And I said, yeah, I was being crazy, but I said, why would you let me leave? Like, I don't think I would ever even do that to somebody if I didn't even know them. I wouldn't let anybody leave if they were drinking. Like, maybe come talk some sense into me, like, hey, like, you're being kind of crazy. We need you to relax. Like, you can't drive, stay here. And, I don't know. But I took responsibility for it regardless, because I said, okay, maybe I was acting crazy. And I, again, did thank her and had forgiven them in my own time. And because if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have decided to get sober eventually and the reason I actually got sober was for Lent. And I said, okay, I'm going to give up drinking for God. I said, I'm going to do the 40 days.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to drink, you know, and I actually stuck with it. And it was so hard. It was so hard. I had given up cocaine a year before that, just because I started to hear about how cocaine was being laced with fentanyl and how people were dying. And I said, holy shit, I can't do that. I have a lot more to do here. I can't do that to myself or my family and stuff. So I ended up stopping the cocaine a year before. And cold turkey, that wasn't really hard for me because I just the fentanyl thing. And I'm looking at it right in front of me, which is pretty interesting. It's right there. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Fuck fentanyl.
Yeah, fuck fentanyl.
Right on. So, and yeah, so I stopped drinking for the 40 days, and then I said, okay, I did it for God. Now I could do this for myself. I think I could do this. And I continued, and it wasn't until about 5 or 6 months that I started to share it on social media. And then I initially was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I going to do this? This is going to be really weird. And people are going to talk shit. And I had
Bless
to get
you.
up. Bless you.
Thank you.
I was like, I have to initially get over this because this isn't really about me right now. It ended up being a lot bigger, and it was not about me anymore. And it was about sharing what I had experienced to inspire people and just show them that they can do it too. And yeah, after that, I just didn't stop. I said, okay, I'm going to just share it every month, every milestone. I had gone to court for the whole mishap with the police officer because I guess there was paperwork already, and his chief had said that there was another thing. I think they charged me for resistance arrest. I forgot what. So I went to court for that. They had me go to 5 AA meetings, and it was pretty cool. I think I had gone to AA before when I tried to get sober. You know how you asked me if I tried a couple of times before? Yeah. I did before, and I was like, fuck this. I don't want to be here. This is weird. Like, I don't want to call myself an alcoholic. I'm not a fucking alcoholic. And this was around the time where I was still drinking. But then when I showed up in a different time, that I realized, like, holy shit, I'm supposed to be here. And I was listening to, it was an all women's AA meeting, and I'm in this room and listening to all the women share their stories and how they've lost everything, and their kids and their marriage and everything to addiction. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. So it was really nice to be around other women that, you know, had gone through similar things. And I think now that I'm sharing this, it's still surreal to me that it's making an impact somehow. And I still get messages every day on Instagram or TikTok saying thank you, or they say their sobriety date. They just talk in the comments and things like that. I would have never imagined that would be something that's happening. And then let alone actually be here in the room with all three of you. So again, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I love it. I think the whole purpose, you know, is sharing our experience and strength and hope with others, because obviously, you know, everybody comes from a different background, raised differently, but we all suffer from the same thing. And so when you walk into, say, a AA room, and obviously you have to be ready at the time, because I was sentenced to go to AA early on in my career, and I was not ready. I would sit in the meeting like a little brat and just like, you know, be very much judgmental, and this is not for me. But I hadn't come to my rock bottom quite yet. I had to continue to put my hand on the stove for a little bit longer before I actually was ready to actually surrender and fully admit and not be in denial that I had a problem, and that I too was an addict and an alcoholic. I just wanted to kind of touch back on one part of your story, because for for anybody that's like family that's listening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I've not only been in your shoes in the sense of feeling like left or alone, but then I've also been on the other, dealing with an addict and an alcoholic, where you cannot reason with somebody that is under the influence. It's just not going to happen.
We're in a blackout.
Totally. So it's like, I know for you might have some, feelings of why would they do that? Why would they let me leave? And I guarantee, because you don't have you're not in your right mind. So you don't know exactly what transpired of like what you said, how crazy you were. And because I know that there's multiple occasions where I'm functioning and I'm speaking, yet the following day when I'm sober, I have no idea that I even said half the things that I said, right? So it's like in those certain instances where your family, cousins, whatnot, they could have been telling you, hey, calm down, chill, like relax, don't drive. But when you're in your full on Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, no one's going to tell you nothing. You're going to do whatever you want to do, and they can kick rocks. So it's very difficult. I feel for family members when they are put in those situations, because it's extremely difficult, to try to reason with someone that is in their blackout, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I've been there on both sides of it too, like where I've dealt with somebody.
Yeah, it's terrible.
A family member in a blackout, and I have been the most unreasonable person on the planet in a meth-induced psychosis, and there was no way you were telling me that I needed to take this pill to come down from, my insanity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I was a meth addict. So like, and the reason why I found you is because on your Instagram page, and we have mutual friend on Instagram. It was, you had, I think at the time when I contacted you, you had 24 months of sobriety. Now it says 25 months of sobriety, and we're all about sobriety here. We're all about, offering hope. We're definitely fuck fentanyl, because we are here because I lost my son-in-law to fentanyl.
Oh my gosh.
So, which made us start recovering out loud and being a voice for, for this movement, and offer people hope that, like, you know what, you can live a way better life sober and accomplish way more things.
Absolutely.
Than just to be a sheep that goes to clubs and parties and, waiting for the weekend, you're just going to work. Like, to me, that's not living. Even if it's just like a weekend grind kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's really, truly not living and leaving the legacy or leaving the mark that God has left us on this planet to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or just feeling alone, like you're depressed and miserable, so you're using a substance or alcohol to numb whatever is going on, or who knows, past traumas that happened when you were a child that people have never dealt with. And so it's sprinkling into your adult life, which really so I work a 12-step program, right? So once I started to actually have to do the steps and peel back a lot and look myself in the mirror, it was tough. It's hard, but you have to be able to be willing to do all of that work. And I feel it's, especially now, because we do live in such a social media era where it's nice to recover out loud, where it's like, you're not alone. You can do this too. And we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
We all don't think right,
Absolutely.
and some of us, like, I'm lucky enough to be married to somebody that is polar opposite of me. Wow. Super logical man, does not have the addict or alcoholic gene by any means in him, which is fascinating for me. However, it's the other part of us, the other percentage that is. And so to be able to have conversations like this, hear your story, and be able to kind of do this thing
Yeah.
daily, because obviously days are hard, you know.
Yes.
Life is hard.
Yes.
There's going to be awesome days, there's going to be not so awesome days.
Yeah.
But I know that I don't have to rely on a drink or a substance to get me through whatever day that comes my way.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so powerful, both of you. Thank you for sharing, by the way. I want to say that thank you for showing me the other perspective of the family side, because you are absolutely right. I didn't even really think about it that way. And it's true. I think even now I still have a little bit of like, I don't want anybody to tell me what to do.
Sure.
You know?
Oh yeah, I still have
And-
it to me too.
I got that.
So I'm sure that especially when I was under the influence,
Sure.
I was not easy to deal
Oh
with.
my gosh.
So thank you for pointing that out, because it's really beautiful. I think that's gonna be something I'm gonna take with me,
For sure.
and it's gonna be beautiful. I think it's beautiful because I think now I'm gonna look at my family a little bit differently and not really have that victim mentality of them leaving me. And you know, it's okay, girl. Like you probably were being really fucking crazy, and
Right.
nobody wanted
Probably hard to handle
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You're
So
probably pretty difficult to handle.
For
And
sure.
and especially like I'm actually like, I would consider myself a professional, because this is what I do for a living, is handle people in their darkest of moments, in their toughest of times. We have people, because besides the podcast, we all own and operate drug and alcohol treatment centers. So, and I've
Wow.
done that for 22 years of my life. So when somebody's in a blackout, you know, I consider myself, and sometimes it's really, really hard, especially if it's like a family member, or,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
if I put a family
sure.
member through treatment, and, you know, and I'm like, it's easier when it's somebody else,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that I don't know. And then I can be a little bit more loving, but when it's a family member and they're really pushing my buttons,
Right.
I want to yell at them,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
get it together.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be difficult, but I think too, one of the most important gifts that we can receive in recovery is the gift of forgiveness. And, you know, forgiving ourselves, forgiving the others. Because if you can get rid of any resentments that you have a clear path towards, you know, the rest of your life. And I think a lot of people out there, normal people, addicts, alcoholics, doesn't matter, they hold on to resentment. Right.
Yeah.
And so many people hold on to, well, the victim mentality, you know, and if we can get past that and move on and forgive people for the hurts that they've caused us and for the hurts that we've caused other people,
Right.
man, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. We're always looking for why. We're always looking for why did we drink? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? But you got to make peace with that anyways.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. If it wasn't them leaving you in Ensenada, it'd be some other
It could be
Fucking situa-
been more horrific.
or
Yeah.
something else that was whatever
Yeah.
it is to you. It doesn't matter. You have to make peace with it. So you know everyone's got a why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all
And
got
that was a part of you getting to where you're at today. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's actually a blessing.
Absolutely. It's actually the first time I've ever shared those stories, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I was planning on sharing those stories eventually on it, you know, Instagram or something. But I was like, how am I going to share these two stories and put it in a 90-second video? It's not going to work.
No, it's
you know?
hard.
That's what we have. That's what we have Emily for.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 4 different reels.
Perfect. Perfect. So
She-
it's thank you for giving me a platform to be able to share that. And I think it's very beautiful what you all are doing here. And I think, again, like it's beautiful to share and recover out loud, like you said,
Yeah.
because I think even now, whenever in that video still that's kind of, you know, still getting traction, people are commenting on there saying celebrate with the beer, like I'll drink a beer for you. Or I think the number one thing was that, oh, take a shot to celebrate. And at first I was kind of upset about comments like that.
Oh, a comment on like you talking about sobriety and
Yeah.
saying you got X
You'd be
amount of
like,
months
I'll
and
have
somebody-
on May 2nd, I'll have 26 months. You know what you should do? You should celebrate with a shot.
Yes.
Oh, those people would comment
Some
that.
Patron.
They're still commenting like
Oh.
that. And the only reason I feel like it was upsetting
Yeah.
was because I know, like, to even joke like that, there's people who do relapse and take a shot and then never fucking come back.
And never, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't
And
come
it's
back.
even more so today than ever because of fentanyl. You
Mhm.
know, and fentanyl is in
Sure.
everything. It's in weed if you buy it off the streets. It's in cocaine. It's in meth. It's in, you know, all these drugs that people, ecstasy.
Yeah.
Most ecstasy. 7 out of 10 pills that are being sold on the street are fentanyl.
Yeah.
They're not even
Wild.
they're not even what you think they are. It might look like ecstasy. It might look like Percocet. It might look like Xanax.
Yeah.
But there is none of those substances in the pill. It's just fillers and fentanyl,
yeah.
and it's so powerful. You know, my son-in-law bought a Percocet off the street,
Mhm.
and my son-in-law is, you know, he wasn't innocent. He wasn't an innocent victim. He has done drugs in his past. He had done fentanyl before, but he didn't knowingly buy fentanyl on the night that he died.
Mm.
He bought a Percocet, and that Percocet was 100% fentanyl, and it was too much,
Wow.
and he never woke up. And my daughter found him dead in his bed,
Wow.
and it was a life-changing event for my family, and we turned
It's
it
still an ongoing.
ongoing,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
but we've turned it into something, you know.
Beautiful.
And none of us are gonna, you know, allow this fentanyl crisis to continue. It's just insanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people truly, it's even scary for running drug and alcohol treatment centers nowadays because the majority, so we just actually ran a stat the other day, 62% of all of our clients come in addicted to opioids, primarily fentanyl.
Wow.
And the scary part is that we get somebody sober for 30, 60, 90 days. And these addicts have built up tolerance to fentanyl. Now, if I get them clean for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, they've completely lost their tolerance, and one pill can kill. So they go out and people are dying left and right.
Yeah.
So it's even scary getting them sober, you know, because the fear of relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Wow.
you know, that's why we're out here fighting the fight. That's why this podcast exists. That's what we're all about.
Love it.
You know, that's us. Well, I did have some questions. So what you've got sober. What do you do with your life today?
So now so I actually, during, I think 2020, around that time, I was also still in a really dark place. I started an OnlyFans account, and I was like, okay,
Where were you raised?
I'm from South Central LA,
Okay.
but I moved to La Puente,
Uh-huh.
and it pretty
Oh
much
boy,
grew
Yeah.
my story ends in La Puente.
Do you have siblings?
I have one sister,
Okay. Older, younger.
older.
Okay.
She's 9 years older.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think after I got sober and I realized what I had done at that time, I was like, this is not something I want to do. It's not even who I am when I meet people. And it's just like, and I tell them that that's something I have right now, that they're like, what the, I would have never imagined, you know? And it's just like, okay,
What,
I know.
creating an OnlyFans?
Yeah. And it's just something that I want to move on from and do something a little more meaningful to who I am as a person. And yeah, so I want to like leave that behind. But what I'm doing now is, so I've really been diving into my culture, where I come from, where my roots are from, and actually really diving into what's called the Red Road. And it's spirituality stuff, really, and medicine and things like that. So, and I feel like I'm being pulled toward that way. And I think that also is going to be beneficial and help people heal on a way deeper level and a soul level, you know? And so that's something I'm doing now, and that's how I'm living my life right now. And yeah, and just really sharing my life, you know, and talking about my sobriety journey or certain challenges that come up, and just sharing and letting people know that they have the power to change their lives whenever they want to. You just have to really want to do it and feel that you're ready. So that's how I do or live my life right now. Yeah.
Do you because I feel like everybody maintains their sobriety in multiple different ways. So for me, I know that I have to work a 12-step program, which is like, unfortunately for me, that's what I have to do. But not everybody is like that, you know? Yeah. So I know a lot of people that don't work a program but are still sober by multiple different ways. Do you work a program, or how do you maintain your sobriety?
I feel that the way I've maintained my sobriety is through support, really. I found good friends that are around me, and I think when I got sober, I also lost a lot of friends that were not actual friends and were only there to drink and have fun. So I think now, because I changed my lifestyle, I don't have friends like that around me anymore. So I don't really, you know, get tempted as much anymore. And if I do, it's tempted with my family, because we are Mexican, so we have beer everywhere.
I'm Mexican Italian, so
you like, totally get it then.
We're drinking on a good day or a bad day.
Oh my gosh. So that always happens. And I think my dad didn't stop asking me if I wanted a beer until like I was a year sober. And it was our way of bonding. You know, we would watch Laker games and drink a beer and like laugh and joke, and, you know, and we would enable each other. So yeah, I think the only time I ever do feel like tempted is when I'm at family gatherings. And I think I just kind of remind myself now, I've built a habit where I'm like, okay, you're not missing out on anything. You are still a part of the gathering. You're still a part of the family. You're still making memories, and even in a way better way. Like, I'm actually present now and remembering things and just being a part of everything. And it's really beautiful. So I think the way I've really managed to continue to stay sober without working a program is really just that, is support and just keeping myself accountable and filling up my day with healthy habits, and just being mindful of certain thought patterns that are coming up. And that's also really tough work. And I think that also comes with the stuff I'm getting into now, which is the spiritual side of things. And so that's
nice. Yeah, filling it up with healthy habits.
Yeah. I mean, it's super important. It's like what you feed your mind, you know, and who you surround yourself with. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that was, I guess, taught to me when I first came into the program. You know, it's definitely those certain friends are not going to be your friends anymore. And that's okay. That's just life. It's what do you want? I wanted to kind of touch on how you mentioned, you know, people's comments about, oh, congratulations, take a shot.
Yeah.
I think because we do live in a social media era, for anybody that is wanting to publicly talk about their sobriety, it just made me super realize, like, having to make sure that you are doing it for yourself. Ultimately, because if you're doing something for yourself, then somebody making a comment about congratulations, take a shot, that's
not really
nothing.
Yeah.
Who cares? If anything, it's like, oh, you know, I'll pray for you, because like that's a sad person to actually say something like that to an individual that's in recovery or celebrating their sobriety. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to, because if a comment like that is going to derail someone from their sobriety, then maybe you need to work on that a little bit more quiet before you take it publicly to social media, because that's the last thing you want is for some little troll that's like miserable in their basement just talking shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
I mean, how like it's weird because like our platform, and I don't know about Natalie's platform in and of itself, but the Hopeaholics platform, our followers are all recovery based, or they want recovery, or they're family members of people in recovery, or family members of people who have lost their loved ones, stuff like that. So like we post something sobriety, you know, if we like post a shout out like, hey, post your sobriety date. I mean, it's insane the amount. I think last time we got like 1,500 sobriety dates. And when I was like going through it, it was tens of thousands of years of sobriety on one post. And I was thinking to myself, man, you know how much the world is a better place? Because if these people are like this person, like myself, I was a menace to society in my disease. Like I hurt, you know, everybody that came in my path. I was like the Tasmanian devil, you know, and you let me go and I just destroyed everything in my path, including myself, you know, and I always was rescued just like you. I'm always got rescued by the Orange County Sheriff's Department when they came and found me and put those, silver bracelets on me and took me to what I call the best detox center around. It's the Orange County Jail, because you cannot leave once you're booked in.
I love that.
You can't leave because you want to go get high. And what was the point?
I love it.
It was a fucking fun story though.
Good one.
I was going somewhere, but
You were.
yeah,
You hit a dead end.
yeah, I sure did, didn't I?
Dead fucking end.
Dead end.
Jesus.
But sobriety is a beautiful thing. I think the thing that I was pointing out is that, you know, your followers may not all be about sobriety, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting. Like I had mentioned that where I was with my OnlyFans, I think that was part of the fan base I built on Instagram. Was more people were interested in seeing me look a certain way on Instagram. And when I started to make the shift, and post more real shit, they weren't really interested, which I actually hit like a plateau on, you know, growing on Instagram for a long time, because I was making the shift. I was losing a lot of followers, but I was gaining some that were actually interested in what I was talking about. And I was like, this is cool. I don't care. I'd rather have all these people leave and actually have people come to the platform who are interested in what I'm actually talking about.
Yeah.
And who I am. And that's a lot more powerful to me than really showing what I look like in a sexy outfit, right? Which is not a bad thing. I love doing that too. We love that. But I think where my heart is sharing that more and sharing and inspiring and just motivating people and just random shit that I go through in a day. And I think, and it goes back to, you know, showing that we're all human. We all go through fucking fucked up shit on the daily. And I think it's beautiful to share that.
I think
we're
it's
all
awesome to share that.
Yeah.
It's like authenticity. It's real.
But I also think too, going back to like your OnlyFans, and I think there's nothing to me. There's not, somebody wants to do it, do it. There's nothing wrong with it, especially now because there's so many different avenues. I mean, people are cooking on there. People are doing fitness
on
and
OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's
What
wild, and comedy, and like and people
Shane
are
has an OnlyFans account.
I do.
But no, my point
Are you
is
guys
this.
joking?
Huh? He's
are you-
only got like one subscriber.
Oh my
We'll
god!
share,
No.
I was like,
No, my point is this.
We'll share it. So we'll share it.
Natalie's
Dude.
not letting us
Alright,
take it
Shane.
away. Come
Yeah.
on, Shane. Share
the
your
point is this.
OnlyFans.
I don't think I don't want you to feel a certain type of way for having an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is you yourself were not feeling good about what you were
Yep.
creating. And there's nothing wrong with that. So then you want to pivot. So it's like,
Yes.
because I look at it like every avenue, especially in a social media, is a business. And you can make
Absolutely.
monetize and you can make money.
Yes.
So for you, you don't have to shut down your OnlyFans.
Right.
All you have to do is just pivot a little bit
Yeah.
Yeah.
and make yours whatever is good for you.
Right.
Don't worry about anybody else. If you're comfortable with doing and posting whatever that may be,
Yeah.
then that's what you're going to do.
I agree.
So that's obviously
I
in
agree.
that moment when you were, newly sober and starting to have a spiritual connection and moving in this stage of your life. That's all. You were just like, oh, you know what? This doesn't make me feel good.
Right.
And that's why people drink and use is
Right.
because we ultimately aren't feeling good with our own thoughts and feelings. And we
beautiful.
want to try to smash that down.
Right.
So I want you to give yourself grace because there's nothing bad or shameful about it. It's more along the lines of now you've grown as a woman, as an individual, into who you want to become and who you want to portray out there, especially with your platform. So now you just got to switch it up and you're pivoting. And that's the whole beautiful thing about being a human being. No one says we can't change. Lord knows I've changed and I pivot and I'm like a little chameleon, especially when things are not going a certain way or if I'm starting to feel like I've lost my connection with my higher power, which is God. That's when you make that pivot.
Right.
And that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And that's what is great about being open and honest, because the more that I'm in my sobriety and doing my program,
Yeah.
it really comes down to honesty and not
Absolutely.
lying and not lying to yourself, because I'm the best manipulator there is. I really-
Nobody can manipulate you better than
No.
you.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, and I'm lucky because I have a strong man in my life that is my partner and everything that is able to check me, because I definitely am the type
need
that is. That's why I use the
He's not afraid to check her
You
either.
need that.
Oh,
You
no.
need that.
Well, I do, because I have no problem
beautiful.
trying to be like, Miss Boss thing and
Yeah.
running. I run shit into the ground. That's what happens.
And then he's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about like you were running rampant, he calls me a tornado. I will literally burn down a city or I will light that bitch up. Which one is it gonna be? You know what I'm saying? It's like I will power the whole place or I'm burning it to the ground.
I love it.
So let's power it up with electricity.
Right.
And that's what I see from you. So it's like for individuals that are listening, there's no shame in our past, Like I had to make those mistakes to get to where I'm at today. And if anybody wants to speak negatively on that, what? I always go back to like Eminem in his Smile in the song.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so honest and open about what I've done, the things that I've been through
Love
is
that.
because check me, boo. What? I've already told you all my shit.
Yep.
Now what?
Mm-hmm.
So no one say something,
Yeah.
because it's like
We
no
all
one is
already
God.
know.
Yeah. And no one is perfect. And behind closed doors, without social media, because obviously social media is a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Be
I mean,
honest.
we all still do weird shit behind closed doors, right? Right?
I like crazy.
I know, and I am.
I
And
like
that's
crazy.
I have to
Uh-oh.
work on not to being.
He does like crazy.
I like crazy.
Crazy
and
is
I think crazy is okay. If you could be crazy in sobriety, there's nothing wrong
nothing
with that.
wrong with it.
So that's what I kept. That's what kept me going, is that I could still do what I want. I could still be as crazy as I want to be without the dope,
Without
love
the
it.
crack.
without the crack.
He liked to smoke. Shane used to smoke crack.
Nice.
Did you ever smoke crack?
No.
No. Just the cocaine?
I just cocaine. I had done ecstasy.
Never
then
snorted
just
a line
drink.
of meth?
No, never went down that route. And I think it's a good thing because I think I probably would have killed myself if
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I probably would have been like
Yeah.
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
you know?
Maybe a couple prison terms, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. That was
Can
so
we go back to?
beautiful.
I mean, that really was actually
Thank you.
well said.
Yeah.
Very
So-
well
so
said.
beautiful.
Well, I'm sitting and I'm looking at you. I'm listening to you. You're a beautiful woman, and I hate that because I remember feeling a certain type of way of like choices or decisions that I've made in my past, But it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's making peace with it, It's like it's not anything.
It's character
Yeah,
building,
it
and it
is.
turns you into the person.
Yeah.
I've done
And it gives you
weird
grace with
stuff.
others.
Yes, it does.
You know?
And other people don't have that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. People who judge
Right.
don't have that. And there's a beautiful saying. It goes like this: people who judge don't matter, and people who matter don't judge.
Yeah.
Mm,
You know, and that's
Yeah.
just a fact.
yeah.
You know, we don't sit here and judge Shane all the time for his OnlyFans account. We did
Just
have to
one
we did
subscriber.
we did have to pivot though, because the whole, like, you know, sexy like Speedo type thing wasn't
Yeah.
what we
Wasn't
weren't
working out.
we weren't attracting the right the right clientele.
Crowd, yeah.
Yeah, so we went ahead and went with like Big Bird outfits and
Yeah.
different costumes, and
Nice.
that seems to
Yeah.
be
full fitting.
yeah seems to be
Yeah. Full
going
coverage. Full
going
coverage.
going well.
Much better.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Plus, he didn't want to like fully shave the whole body
Oh
and
my
all
God.
that. and-
Totally.
did the
We're
upper.
going
I did the
off
upper. I
on
did the upper.
another.
Got another touch.
I mean, we got to keep some spice on the podcast, you know. We got to
Yes.
keep our listeners
I'm shaving from the
interested.
hips up.
That is
Okay,
hilarious.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry. What?
That's so
TMI.
funny.
Oh,
A little.
I mean, it doesn't bother me.
no. Why would it?
I bathe in. I take a bath once a week in what's that stuff called that gets rid of all the
Epsom
hair?
salt?
No,
Nair,
no.
Nair, Nair,
Nair.
Epsom salt.
Epsom salt.
I take baths in Epsom salt. It's good for your muscles,
It's
and it's actually
amazing.
really good.
Actually, no, it's
For
not. Epsom salt
relaxing.
is not good for you. Research it. The chemicals they put in there are no good. There's a thing they did a new study. I forgot I was going to send it to you.
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I haven't.
there's-
I mean,
Yeah,
I
and did
haven't
you
taken
guys
one in a
hear
minute,
about
but-
drinking from
Oh
the
God, yeah.
micro
Yeah.
papers in your body if you drink
Yeah.
hot coffee?
Anything
out
in
of
plastic. If you're drinking
Mic-
microplastics.
microplastic?
If you're eating with a fork, it's plastic. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, how about this? Alcohol
Teflon.
is the one thing that's still legal and out there and getting
And it's
promoted like a
actually- you know what's
motherfucker and
funny?
will kill you.
And
Period.
Period.
did you
Period.
guys know that
Yes,
al-
It's like
Absolutely.
it's wild. It
al-
wrecks lives.
alcohol
Yes.
is actually poison to the body.
Yeah.
It is poison
Yes.
to the body. Even methamphetamines, even though it's made with a bunch of poisons, it doesn't break down to a poison.
Mhm.
Alcohol breaks down to a poison,
Mhm.
and that's a fact.
Jack.
Jack, and it's the one
It
thing that's
literally
legal.
slowly kills you.
Slowly
Or,
kills
Yeah.
you.
or
shrivels
does
up your
something else. Yeah.
brain,
Your
makes
sleep,
it into a
everything.
raisin.
All of it.
Eating.
And it's the antidepressant. So when you are drinking and then the next
Or
day
no, it's
you're
a
hungover.
depressant.
Yeah, depressant.
It's
I mean, sorry, it's a depressant.
Yeah,
Sorry, not
yeah, yeah.
antidepressant.
Yeah.
Depressant. So that's why usually it takes at least like 8 days for it to be solid out of your system before you kind of feel like, oh, I kind of feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's people wonder why they're so blue after they're a night out of drinking.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, and it makes you want to eat more. I know when I was drinking, I was eating like fast
oh,
food.
all I want to
every
eat is like
day.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
When
it-
I'm on a good one, Taco Bell, like just the grimiest of food.
No,
Huh?
terrible. Yeah, I'm with you. It's
Taco
terrible.
Bell.
Shane's like, that's
Yeah.
what I eat all the time.
I
No?
don't know what you talk about, but
Where do you?
I'll tell you what. Where my mind goes is when you said chameleon, I started saying karma, 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 chameleon.
You come and go.
And then just now when you said blue, and then I started singing, I'm blue, but I'm feeling alright.
Wow.
That's so
So
funny.
that's what happens when you say stuff. I go to a song.
Yeah, I like it. Lyrical man.
That's so now we know what's going through his head while
Yes.
you're talking.
While you're
He's
talking.
singing,
Yes, I'm
Songs.
singing
I'm
tunes,
cute.
show tunes.
Yeah.
which
I
is
like it.
good because if he's not singing show tunes, he's ruining your reel.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm butting in.
Butting in.
Butting in. How was your time away from us, Natalie?
You're so crazy.
What?
You're nuts.
We've been she's been gone
She's
for
been gone
2
for
weeks.
2-3 weeks.
I heard.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
So this
you
is
guys,
your
I've
first
been
day
gone
back?
literally like 8 days.
Like 4
It was
weeks?
2 weeks.
was
She's
eight-
like eight working
8
days.
working days. I was gone
But
for 10
we
days.
still count
It's
the
too-
weekends
it's too long
Shane,
for them.
Counting.
Shane and
But
I
I'm highly missed.
were
That's
working
good.
on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But I
At
have
least-
to reel them back in because they're derailing. This is not about me. This is about you.
It's okay
about
though.
you.
They love you.
I do feel the love. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. That was
Yeah.
a good little moment. I
Yeah.
love it. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Yes.
She does deserve it because sometimes
Yeah.
we're mean to her when she's here all
Yeah,
the
they
time.
are. But I'm the youngest of all boys, so I'm like, this
She
is
says
nothing.
she
It's
can take
nothing.
it.
She's always like,
Exactly. I'm like, this is nothing.
Please.
This is.
We know she goes home and cries sometimes. That's
Aw.
fine. That's fine.
She has to go call her sponsor.
Jonathan,
They were
You
so
guys
mean
are
to me
nuts.
today.
Yeah, totally.
These guys, I just can't handle them.
Not
But
even.
it's so much fun. I like the craziness.
I do. I feed off of it.
I mean, it's it's hard for me to go
Fuels me.
2 weeks without doing a podcast though. Like, you know, I love this shit right here. It's so weird because like this is not something I would have ever done. I wouldn't have sat down and wanted to be any kind of public speaker or, you know,
Yeah.
on social media or anything until my son-in-law died. And then I was like, fuck it, we're doing it, God.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
he called me to do it.
That's beautiful.
And so we just started doing it, and now I just feed off of it. And like I don't like going 2 weeks without doing a podcast. You know?
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's important in the sense of like for me it's all about like breaking the stigma because I used to want to hide this be this like double life where I really everything is good, we're great, but I was miserable and dying. And then also when I became sober I didn't want anybody to know because I was like ashamed
Right.
and I felt like I was gonna get looked at weird and people were gonna not be able to act normal around me. But then meeting these guys and being able to actually, it's just, that's how God works. It's one thing that I used to be embarrassed and ashamed of. Now I will talk about this until I'm red in the face. Anybody that's going to listen, because
That's right.
my life today is beyond my wildest dreams. And I could have never said that 11 years ago.
Wow.
like, It's a miracle. So it's like when people are struggling, when you're miserable, alone, depressed, there's a way out.
yeah.
It's possible. You just have to come to a point that you're willing to do it
Yeah.
and then make that choice and follow through with it for yourself,
Right.
for no one else.
Yes.
And that's what you've done. Obviously it took you a couple times, but I mean your story with the car crash and stuff, that's me, dude.
Yeah.
One of my little bouts, I wrecked a car, airbags, the whole thing. I had a previous court issue, something that I remember wanting to run and then I couldn't because I had like just come to. It was just a mess.
Right.
Did I get sober after that one? Nah. Any normal person
Yeah.
is like, huh,
Yeah.
they're not putting themselves in those situations. So it's like having those types of moments are huge moments because people need to hear stories like yours so that they can also start thinking to themselves, huh, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe I need to try to give up alcohol for Lent.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let me go and see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then just check in with yourself every day. Like, how am I feeling? What's going on? Am I blowing shit up?
Yep.
Probably not.
Yep.
Or at least you're doing a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you kind of strung those first 40 days and then slowly kept going.
Yeah.
And now you're almost at 26 months. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and things just continue to get better. It's not always easy, but one of the gifts that I've been given is the ability to feel my feelings, and I've learned over time that feelings are just feelings, that I don't have to put a negative connotation on a feeling. If I'm feeling sad, that's okay. I can identify that I'm sad today.
Right.
And that's like normal. I don't need to go have a drink to change the way I feel. If I'm feeling happy, I don't need to enhance that with, smoking a joint. I can just feel the raw, real feelings today. And I've learned to feel them all, and I've learned to be okay with them, and that they come and go.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
just because I'm feeling down today, if like say I'm feeling, or like, let's say anxious. A lot of people hate anxiety, right? I'm feeling anxiety, but like check in with that anxiety.
Exactly.
Why am I feeling anxious? Usually I'm feeling anxious because I'm worried about what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day in the future.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I'm doing that, I have completely cut off my spiritual connection, because the only time that we're in full spiritual connection is when we are right here in the present moment. You know, and right now in this room, we're all sitting here listening to each other. That's why I love this podcast so much,
Yeah.
because it's the one time where other people are truly in my head.
Mm.
When you guys talk, you're in my head, and I can be present in the moment, and I listen to what everybody says. It's a beautiful
Cool.
thing.
Yeah.
And I did want to say one thing I wanted to add, because one of my stories ends in La Puente. I was buying meth from this gang in La Puente.
Mm.
It was the
I'm like, what gang is it? I'm just kidding.
and the girl was selling, the head girl was selling the drugs for her guy who was in prison.
Mm.
And I was heading out there to pick up, and I had been up on a run for months, and I don't know how many days I had been awake, but I was out of drugs, and I was heading to pick up, and I fell asleep on the freeway, on the 10 freeway in Pomona.
Mm.
And I crashed my car. I rolled it off the 10 freeway, and I walked away from that accident.
Wow.
And you would think that would have been like, hey, maybe that was definitely a sign.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got out of the hospital, I went and headed back out to pick up those drugs.
Oh shit.
And I got stoned with the guys that night. And then I started looking around the room, and I was like, man, you're sitting around the room with stone cold killers right now. And I picked up the phone, and I called my mom, and she answered the phone, and she was crying, and I asked her, why are you crying? And she said, you just had a little baby girl. And that was the moment where I had a moment of clarity. And I was like, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm either going to be dead or in prison for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to be a father, and that's where my life started to change.
Oh.
As I packed it up and, became a dad.
Wow.
And that same girl, fast forward 21 years later, is the one that found her fiance dead. So she has changed my life multiple times
Wow.
along her journey. So she does. I don't even know if she knows how much of an impact she's had on my life, but
Mhm.
none of this would exist if it wasn't for her being born,
Wow.
you know?
Wow. That's powerful. Oh my goodness.
So that's where my real true, and not to say that everything's been perfect, because I have had relapses along the way, but
Right.
that's where my recovery journey ended or began. It actually began in La Puente, which is
Wow.
funny that you said that.
Yeah. I want to ask something really quick. Do you guys ever have dreams where you relapse?
Oh, I just had one like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was shooting meth. And I was like, no.
No, I woke up like
Yeah.
thinking it was real.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I just ruined everything.
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what? Like,
Yep.
it was wild. But yeah.
Cool. Because
How about you,
I
Shane?
get them
All
a
the
lot.
time.
Huh?
Yeah.
All the time.
You just smoking some crack on the fucking selling your Hummer on the side of the road for a crack rock.
Oh, yeah, man.
Shane,
I love how Natalie's like, oh my God.
I know.
whatever.
Shit, well, because
like, it just doesn't phase her.
Shane sold his Hummer for $7,000 worth of crack.
Damn.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Swear, $80,000 Hummer.
Heavy
do.
hitter.
That's what we do.
That is what we do.
Dang. Wow. Right on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, what a beautiful podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story. And
She is quite incredible to
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Thanks
And
for
just-
keep doing
And
it.
the luck.
Thank you,
She
thank
had a lot of luck.
thanks for coming down, being vulnerable,
Yeah.
Sharing your story and
Appreciate you for
being a
having
part of the
me.
Hopeaholics.
Yeah,
for
thank
sure.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you big time.
It was a complete honor and a blessing to be here. And like I said, thank you for giving me a platform to
Yeah.
share.
For
And
sure.
and
doing it.
yeah, the first time I shared those stories
Yeah.
was beautiful. I'm never gonna forget
That's
this.
exciting for us.
Yeah.
Awesome. It is
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
for us.
No, it's huge.
Yeah.
What's that called?
What?
When you get the thing before the other newspaper?
We damn, I forgot
A
what it's called.
newsletter?
No.
What?
We got you know what I'm trying to
Yeah, I do know what you're
Dude,
trying
I
to
think
say. It's the breaking news, but it's the
like
the
spoiler alert, but no, it's
We're horrible.
We are the three of us are really.
I love it.
right
Oh my
now.
goodness.
You
I
put
feel
3 of us together
Oh
and we can't even
yes.
come up
So
with
you
the
know what
one
I'm
more.
trying to say.
Oh
like
yeah,
you are
yeah.
saying,
All right.
but yeah. Thank you so much.
I love it.
Breaking
Yes,
news. Breaking news.
breaking
Beep beep
news.
beep
Yeah,
beep
yeah,
beep beep beep. Whatever. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You.
All right, we're gonna take a picture.